welcome, my Libra collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your timeless soulmate read for November 2020. You're obviously timeless. I am your reader, Mark Angelo, lYONS, Mal for short. Professional witch, professional intuitive, president of Drawing the Circle production sign, Venus in Libra. The Archangel of lYONS, Mark Angelo lYONS, but you can call me Mal. Hey, it was a lot of words, but hey, you're an air sign, right? Welcome, welcome, welcome back, my subscribers. Very, very honored to be serving you in this time of great change on planet Earth. So why not have a look at your soulmate contract reads? Now, a couple of things. There are links in the description box defining soulmate as opposed to a twin flame. They're not the same thing. Rather than go into it here in the video, please do check the links in the description box below. There are good, I think, 5 or 6 of them at this point. You know, when I make one, I add it. The one from Matt Kahn, which is the one that was a game changer for me. You might want to watch that one. Soul Contracts, Twin Flames, and Soulmates Redefined. Really, really good. There is an extended for this reading. So if you are new to my channel, please do consider liking, subscribing, hitting the notification bell, commenting, sharing, because right now, because of my numbers, my subscription numbers, I have to put the extended reads on Vimeo.com, and they are pay-per-view, $5 each, right? But I am shooting for 30,000 subscribers so that I can have the membership function here. So you would pay one price per month and get access to all of the extended readings for the relationship-based reads that I do. So please just consider it. Help me help you, right? Help me help everybody here, liking, subscribing, and all that jazz. That out of the way. There will be 12 cards in this version in YouTube, and then 12 cards over on Vimeo in the extended. But you will get the 13th card in the preview at the end of this one. So remember, this is a general read. Please take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Check your other signs, because we're not just looking at any old soulmate contracts. We're looking at the romantic sexual ones, right? The ones that have taken us lifetimes to build up and grow and heal, because it's that intimate level of it is so vulnerable. It's different than with family, right? It's different than with friends or coworkers. Essentially, a soulmate contract you incarnate to help each other heal. Different than a twin flame contract where you teach each other how to heal yourselves, which is very different. Check the descriptions below, the description box below for that. You'll see what I mean if you watch those. But these in particular are the happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, sexual, satisfying soulmate contracts that really, who else is watching any other kind on YouTube, right? Those are the ones we really want to know about. And those are the ones that my guides are really good at and I've been helping people with for decades. So let's get up in this gig. Please stay in the present moment. Focus on your breath. I will give you the best that I've got. I think that covered all of the points that I have to make before I actually do what I incarnated to do in this life. So please take a nice deep breath. Exhale. Yes, and all the decks that I read are in the description box below. We're using the Caroline Myss archetype deck. All of my pantheons chip into this one to look at the soul pattern in a soulmate contract. Divine feminine, divine masculine, and a center lane to define what they're both going through together, or the state of the contract itself, the divine influences involved, written in, whatever you want to see that as. So here we go. I'm feeling this. Again, divine feminine, divine masculine has nothing to do with bodily gender. And I don't know if I'm in this one. I'm beginning to feel a little empathic vibes here. So let's get some cards on the table and dive in, please. One more nice deep breath. And we begin. My collective pantheons of angels, goddesses, gods, masters, and the higher selves of all involved. Please, I need 3 cards for this Libra collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. Happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, sexual, satisfying soulmate contract. November 2020 or timeless whenever they come across this. Please, 1 card to represent the divine feminine in this soulmate contract, 1 to represent the divine masculine in the soulmate contract, and 1 to represent the contract itself, right? And this will affect both of them, maybe not equally, but at the same time, right? One might influence the other or heal or whatever the other. So please, what is the overall overriding archetype being developed from shadow to light, lead to gold, toxic to healthy, in this Libra collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, sexual, satisfying soul mate contract. Now, I haven't seen it. That card that I just drew will be the 13th card. Even though it's on the table, it will be flipped over in the preview, and obviously the preview is part of the extended on Vimeo. All right, so let's see who our lucky, happy couple is. Aw, and I do feel this is a lucky, happy couple in a way. I could probably burn down villages together if they wanted to. We've got the Divine Feminine Rebel archetype and the Divine Masculine Divine Child archetype. Now, I feel like the Divine Child came up before. No, we've got the Magical Child that came up before, not the Divine Child. I have the list in front of me just to see if there's any jump overs from sign to sign. But definitely the action family of archetype and the survival family of archetype. Everybody has a child archetype because everyone was a child. There's no getting past that in this world. Sorry. No matter how Capricorns are born old and grow young, they still had to go through like school, you know, like nursery school and shit. But this is a specific variety, a sub-pattern of the archetype of the child, the divine child. So I'll read these. These are lovely, but remember, the shadow is wicked, toxic, and the light is really healthy. This is the material that you are helping each other heal, whether you know each other or not, whether you are together or not, in communication or not, because that's a soulmate contract. It's a quantum entanglement, right? So as one of you heals, the other one heals, whether you are aware of it or not, or even aware of each other. So the Divine Feminine here represents as the rebel archetype, and the shadow rejects legitimate authority out of anger. Right? So legitimate authority, things that are really, oh boy, are we going through that on planet Earth right now? Let's move on to the second part of this. Rebels out of peer pressure or fashion, sort of like what New Wave was to punk, right? You know, it's like if you didn't bleed in a piercing, it wasn't really punk, right? I'm going to say I'm 52 years old. I get to claim some of that aura because I lived through it. The light attribute, though, of the rebel archetype challenges authority to effect social change, rejects spiritual movements that do not serve inner needs. I'm going to say that this is happening on the planet. This rebellion that we're going through, revolutionary rebellion, are a little bit different. But this could very easily be someone who is very intent on social justice, right? We're dealing with Libras, right? The scales, that balance, that justice that they seek. But with the divine child could just as easily be a Virgo or any sign, because we are all divine children, by the way. Every incarnate soul is a divine child, right? We all come from the same parentage in that sense. But this is like so specific about a relationship with the divine that might be different than the other signs, the other archetypes. The shadow attribute, an inability to defend oneself against negative forces. Now, you don't often see that in someone who would identify themselves perhaps as a divine masculine, but nonetheless, I am familiar with this archetype within myself, and there are times where things happen that are so negative, and even though I am like a well-equipped and well-trained witch, oh, witch please, still, there are times where I get shaken to my core, as we all do, but it is the child within me that then has to go to the divine. And here's the light part of that. The light attribute, innocence, purity, and redemption, suggests a special connection with the divine. And that redemption is what I'm saying about that, also that part that could be Libra, right? So either one of these I feel like has a strong Libran base to it, because redemption is a result of judgment, if you look at it that way, right? You did something, you are given I don't know, penance, is that like, or a fine or whatever, and you redeem yourself, like redeeming a coupon, you turn one thing in for another. So this is a very, very interesting vibe going on here, and I'm just hearing really loud and clear, do not confuse this with man and woman. This is feminine and masculine, yin and yang. It's a different dynamic than that, because this is too easy to see as a physical woman, rebellious mother, and perhaps her child. This is a romantic sexual context, right? So keep that in mind. It's that innocence, it's that purity that allows us to fall in love and feel a divine connection, that divine child archetype. Tricky, but with a rebel could be a lot of fun. Now remember, soulmate contracts, you're scripted to heal each other regardless of any other, like that's the foundation of why the contract was written, to help two souls heal, to awaken, to grow, to evolve. So to get a little bit more clarity on that, we're going to take 5 Daughters of the Moon Tarot to clarify fire, earth, air, water, spirit for the Divine Feminine Rebel. We're going to use the Mythic Tarot Juliet Sharman Burke's deck for the Divine Masculine Divine Child, which is a little tricky it's not really a tongue twister, but the Divine Masculine Divine Child, you get what I'm saying. So let's do this. Take a nice deep breath. Let's get you some elements on the table. Oh my goddesses, please, Aphrodite in particular, I need 5 cards in clarity, as you well know, for this Divine Feminine with the Rebel archetype active in their life some way. In this Libra collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, sexual, satisfying soulmate contract. November 2020 or timeless, please. What is her element of fire? What she desires and wants from this contract? What is her element of earth? The fuel, I'll take that one. The fuel that feeds the fire, helping her get what she wants in this contract. Her element of air, her predominant pattern of thought about this contract that she finds herself in the element of water. What does she predominantly feel about this soulmate contract? And most importantly, the element of spirit. What is the point of view and the voice of the soul that was chosen to incarnate in this body and play this role as the Divine Feminine, at least for now, in this happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, sexual, satisfying soulmate contract for my Libras? Now, before we dive into that, let's just get his on the table too, and then I will flip them over simultaneously, element by element. Breathe. Yeah, there's so much change going on in the world. There's so much imbalance right now. I won't even say what day I'm doing this on, but you could probably guess by when it's uploading, when it streets, what day I'm doing this on. It's fun to step away from all of that for a couple of hours. My gods, Eros in particular, please, you who share the throne, your mother Aphrodite, in the sign of Libra, I need 5 cards for this Divine Masculine with the Divine Child archetype active within him some way, shape, or form. Fire, earth, air, water, spirit, please. What does he want? What's his element of fire? Nope, that's a kicker. You go back in. What is his element? That's what he desires. What is his element of earth? The fuel that sustains and feeds that fire, helping him get what he wants in this contract. Element of air, what is his predominant thoughts, beliefs, feelings, etc. Element of water, his predominant feelings, all about this soulmate contract. And again, most importantly, yes, I will riffle shuffle. The element of spirit, what is the point of view of the soul, the voice of the soul that was chosen to incarnate, to play this role in this happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, sexual, satisfying soulmate Libra collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign contract. That's a lot of work. Okay. Element of fire, what is it they desire? Now this is interesting. There's a lot of not happy going on here, apparently, because we've got the card of oppression, the Devil card, and the Daughters of the Moon, and the 4 of Cups. Now, why would somebody want that? It's like, yeah, no, oppress me a little bit more. Yeah, no, a little bit more psychic weight. Yeah, no, a little bit other people's shit clinging to me that has nothing to do with me, right? The things that hold us back, our fears, our binding. So I'm going to go because this is a rebel archetype for the Divine Feminine. The feeling that I get on this is more like, let's break these chains. Let's move forward. Let's heal this. Let's do this, right? I don't do reversals on camera because it's too much to juggle with such a large field of people I'm tuning to here. But particularly with the 4 of Cups, this might be, I want to deal with this, both sides. I want to bring this into balance. The 4 of Cups, emotional dissatisfaction, not necessarily the tumult of the 5 of Cups, which can often be about loss or something revealed that injures, at least emotionally, knocks over cups. But that 4 of Cups of meh, meh. I mean, it can be restful, and I could see maybe the divine child needing a nap, right? Wanting a nap, an emotional nap, a little bit of a break, a lull. And of course, if you have any empathic skill going on here with what's going on, at least in the United States right now, I could see where the child would be like, I need to protect myself, right? Divine child might not be able to defend themselves against negative forces intuitively, psychically, let alone in actual physical people around them. But then this really says, with this devil card here, they don't use patriarchal symbolism, it's a feminist deck, but oppression, to really deal with what's oppressing them, what's holding them back, perhaps more on the inside. Now, these two might not know each other, right? This can just be like, meh. You know, I don't know, I just want to get out of this place, or at least I want to take a break from stuff. And this one is like, well, I want to free myself from. And that would make sense with the rebel archetype as well, right? Particularly reject spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. I wonder if those inner needs, those interior oppressions, are what we're looking at here for her. So what's their element of earth? Well, we'll start with her. She's got the Four of Wands here, but in this deck it is conflict. So obviously she knows the conflict, right? She has a conflict. I feel like she's aware of the conflict, and she wants to do the necessary work, perhaps even shadow work. Interior alchemy of lead to gold, fear to love, pain to peace, just to kind of Course in Miracles that a little bit. And he has the card of the World. So he is at the end of a cycle of some kind. Oh, and could very well be in that meh place in between. Like one relationship has ended, another one has begun. Now look, you can play that out in so many different ways. End of a career, beginning of another one. End of one administration, the beginning of another. That might very much be happening because it's at the card of the World in the Earth position. They could be very affected by what's going on politically right now. Just saying, right? But somehow to help them get what they want here. So, you know, it feels like the divine feminine, she being a divine feminine, the rebel, remember I have to say she and he so I keep it straight in my head, to remove these rocks on top of her, which actually have people's faces drawn on them. So this might be about, you know, dealing with some of the social injustice in life in general, but it's weighing her down. So that desire to kind of deal with that, to free herself from that by dealing with the conflict perhaps within herself, right? Maybe not so much all external conflict here. And with the World and the Four of Cups for the divine masculine, I gotta say, at the end of an era, in some way, shape, or form, and isn't that just happening? It feels like every hour on the hour of 2020. Let's see what their dominant thoughts are here. Both major arcana cards, but she's got the Coyote, the other half of the Devil card in this deck. It's Oppression and Coyote, but this is a very different energy. This is Coyote woman, the trickster, the teacher, the having to play it stealth in order to do what you have to do and get done what you have to get done. Now, the motivations behind that, the honor and the integrity of such actions taken depends on the situation. But definitely thinking about being a little covert here, as well as there is also this sense, and if you study like real Native American totemic shamanism, right? You look at what the coyote is. It's a trickster, sure, but it's a teacher. It teaches through surprises and tricks and stealth, right? You know, like coyotes, they're sly. The fox is really known more for stealth. Yeah, smaller, right? Easier to camouflage, where a coyote will often announce itself, right? Pretend, do one thing in order to do another. So there's something going on there, but I feel like their minds, I don't think their minds are playing tricks on them, but they might not be getting the larger picture, that there is something that they are not aware of here mentally. That might be a trick being played on them, but I don't think by anyone on the horizontal, but on the vertical. Do you know what I mean? It's like not so much people being shifty out here, although that might be going on in the world and feeling that, oppressed by other people perhaps with this, wanting to relieve that, but by the divine itself might not have all the information or false information. And again, it's 2020, where he's got the hermit, right? He's thinking about really I gotta heal myself. I gotta do me. I'm at the end of a cycle. I need to be with myself right now. I need to focus intently, voluntarily, mentally upon myself, right? So it's a very interesting thing there for the divine child to say, yeah, and this I must do alone. So maybe there is a maturation going on here mentally, or at least the contemplation of that, to find that spiritual light, that spiritual truth, always depicted as a candle, a star, a something, and the hermit card being, if not held by the hermit, then in pursuit of. And remember, this isn't somebody locking themselves away in exile. It's someone who's deliberately moving towards health. And honestly, with that Four of Cups, there may not be anything else going around, so going on for them right now. So it might very much be, I'm sort of isolated anyway, let me use this ending and this new beginning in a more productive way by going within. And a divine child would do that. Let's not forget, this is a divine child. So to go into prayer, it's there, but they may not see it as classic prayer. There's so many different modalities and means. So emotionally, these two also have major arcana. She has got the card of Temperance. Her interior world is getting stronger and stronger and healthier and more balanced, though it may be painful, right? Though there may be the fires of alchemy going on, right? The fires of hell, dark night of the soul kind of feelings going on here. Maybe, maybe not. That might be a bit extreme. But we're definitely seeing a process of healing and balance. Again, this is really lends itself to the Libra on this side, at least like maybe a Libra moon, because it's the water element here. And he's got the Fool, so he wants to take a jump, and that would make sense, right? He's got the world, he's feeling a fool. You feeling a fool? Feeling like taking a jump, taking a leap, but doing it wisely, I would say, with the Hermit. In the place of the mental field. So it does feel like there is forward movement coming here. It doesn't feel like it's immediate, right? They're fire cards. They're both very stagnant. Four of Cups and oppression. Obviously no free movement there. She's dealing with a conflict. He's at the end of a cycle. There's something with, and that's the thing. Try and interpret a card that says the Trickster on it, right? It could be anything, but we're definitely looking at some kind of mental, perhaps strategy, stealth, or a larger trick being played. Like maybe the divine symbolically pulling the wool over this divine feminine's third eye, keeping stuff away from them, not to hurt them, but because they don't need to know it yet, right? So that they really take the hero's journey, but at least in this internal part, right? Tempering the conflict, right? Like really look at how they temper metal. just put that in Facebook, YouTube, right? Tempering metal. What do you say? It's fascinating. Like you'd think, well, at the end of the day, reading cards all day long. Of course, I want something a little bit more physical, tangible. Gotta say though, with this Fool card though, I feel like he's got like these two. Soulmate contracts, you're meant to help each other heal, right? You're gonna. This is the romantic variety. It's not really romantic unless you kiss eventually, right? In my opinion, at least. So there is this urge, this pull, but it is from that divine child that has faith in the divine within this divine masculine. Very, 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 very interesting read. Let's see that position of spirit. Well. How interesting. We have two female figures. Kuan Yin, the Nine of Cups for the Divine Feminine. And I believe that's Helen of Troy in the Scorpio card there, the Queen of Cups. So there's a lot of emotion here. Let's just say that. There's a lot of emotion. There's even possibly a lot of devotion here that's looking for a place to express itself. For the Divine Feminine, Kuan Yin, baby, go with the flow. Your wish fulfillment is manifesting. It's already in the 8th chakra. If you want to see it that right, it's hovering. It's that there is water to quench some of this fire, right? Your wish fulfillment, that emotional, nines to me are just as much a number of balances, 3s and 6s. They're different stages. It's 3 3s. It's like a real solid foundation, but not quite the 10. So, could very much be this inner healing, right? This particularly with the rebel archetype on this side, finding a spiritual path, practice whatever that does satisfy internal needs, right? Instead of reject spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs, right? That's lovely. What has he got with that Queen of Cups there. A lot of feeling going on here. Very, very deep, but not very communicative, right? That divine child dealing with the negativity in their life might be a bit overwhelming. So having to go into prayer and pull back. So I'm not seeing communication between these two at all, which of course could lead to them knowing each other or not. 'Cause if they don't know each other, they haven't communicated yet. Not such a big deal, but if they do know each other, if they have met, excuse me, if they have danced before, then certainly something went down here. And I see that with a lot of soulmate contracts anyway. You think they're twin flame. Again, go watch the difference between the two. And then they end up having more soulmate context to them. So it's a fascinating thing, these soul contracts, which is why a contract read is like sitting down with a lawyer. I'm sort of like a magical lawyer that way, right? A universal lawyer. I was raised by one. I was raised by a lawyer. A very good one, Libra, too, interestingly enough. So I can really, really see and feel the dynamics here. And let me pop up the larger picture and see if there's any loopholes I might have missed. Nice, deep breath. Magic clap. Oh, that was a good one. Nothing like a satisfying magic clap. That sounded wrong. The Divine Feminine, by the way, has the rebel archetype in the shadow, rejects legitimate authority out of anger, rebels out of peer pressure or fashion, and of course that's rampant on planet Earth right now, but that rebellious part of her might be a little oppressed right now, particularly wanting to move towards the light attribute of challenges authority to affect social change, right? So you don't really need to affect social change unless there's a feeling of oppression. So in that fire position, like no one's going to necessarily want that kind of oppression, but obviously then it's to bring it into focus and perhaps necessarily in there rejecting spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. And again, with that oppression thing, it feels like this could easily be the oppression of the psychic weight of what's going on in the world, but this is about this contract. So I'm going to say this Divine Feminine Rebel feels burdened by this contract and wants to break the chains. Now, maybe moving away from this Divine Masculine, I'm just feeling the psychic weight here isn't just about the Divine Masculine here. That this is probably an ongoing trend, a pattern that at its core has a conflict, and that conflict has probably been within this Divine Feminine Rebel for a while, you know, from some wound, like I want this, but I don't want to get hurt, right? Something that simple. It's a 4, right? And I know 4 of Flames, everybody wants that to be the marriage card, and for some readers it legitimately is. I got it, like no shade thrown, right? No tea spilled across the table here. But in this card is literally printed on a conflict. So there's an internal conflict, or that does say in physical form, these two have danced and there's a conflict between the two of them, right? And it feels equal-sided if that is true. Again, that Libra deal going on. And with that coyote woman in the middle here. Now, I don't think everybody's seeing clearly here in this. I think there may be some miscommunication, particularly just came out of Mercury retrograde. There might have been things done and said during that time that were accidental or incorrect. So it's just, I get the conflict might very well be coming from the divine kind of screwing with these two because of divine timing, or because there's a larger thing that they're learning that they don't realize they're learning, and they're helping each other heal while they might be hostile towards each other, which never lasts forever. In a soulmate contract, right, eventually it returns to love, because that's the nature of it. As one heals, the other heals, and then they bump into each other and they're like, I forgave you long ago, I forgave you this morning, right? However that works itself out. And of course, with the most beautiful cards left for the Divine Feminine here, and the element of water, she's got the Temperance card. So there is healing, and there is balance, and there is a willingness to endure. Like the process of temperance, I'm not kidding. Go watch videos where they restore rusted metal, like rusted cannonballs and stuff like that. What they do to it is just fascinating, to bring it back to its right, to be restored. To rehabilitate means to bring something back to its original setting or form. So bringing herself into balance there emotionally, but of course there is patience involved here. And the voice of the soul really kind of saying, take your time, sweetheart. Your Nine of Cups is in manifestation here. It's Kuan Yin. Receive, right? Don't push. You're the divine feminine here. Receive. Go within. There's not so much need for rebellion externally here as it is really getting your spiritual inner needs met, because there are perhaps some tricks being played on you. And when the gods play tricks on the gods, the angels, the masters, when they're playing tricks on you, that's because they're taking you seriously. There's no other way we can get them at their level of intellect and progression without tricking the fuck out of them so that they make this contract on time. It's just how it works. Don't ask me how. It's just what they tell me and I believe them. So let's jump over to the divine masculine here with the divine child archetype, which, I have the divine child archetype. Like I said, I've been praying since I was a little kid, like really young. But that shadow attribute I can relate to, an inability to defend oneself against negative forces, which is part of why I became a witch, because I was having all these mystical experiences and negativities, and please, being an empath and having no idea what that means, or even what that the word exists, can be very, very tricky for a child, right? Particularly if there's clairvoyant, clairaudient, and all that jazz going on. So, to really have the alchemy here is such a blessing, the opportunity, the light attribute, innocence, purity, and redemption suggests a special connection with the divine, that this is somebody who really has a strong connection to the divine and hence access, right? But right now where they're feeling is a little meh, right? Four of Cups, I get that. A little bored. Like, even that's funny what they just showed me, traditional handing the fourth cup, right? The divine handing the fourth cup. And looking at those other three and going, I'm not thrilled with the three you already gave me, right? Meh. Hashtag meh, right? And that would make sense with the element of earth there, with the card of the world, the universe, right? At the end of a cycle, kind of done, right? I can feel this divine child, like, I am done. I am toast. Stick a fork in me. Let's get this over with, right? Is in that place. And of course, then contemplating in their mind, I need to pull back. I need to get away from society. I need to go further in and higher up, follow Aslan into his kingdom, right? And within. But as a result, there is an emotion there about jumping in and diving in. And as I connect the hermit in the mind and the fool in the heart or in the emotions, there is a divine call to this divine child to go within and dive into their own spiritual interior world in order to resolve that Four of Cups, to really tune in, tap in, turn themselves onto something. And with that Queen of Cups in the soul position, it's like the soul saying, and no one needs to know, honey. You be a quiet beauty from a distance. You can be a total Monet. Exchange. It's the Monet exchange. I really, really like these two, the rebel and the child. There is something innocent, there's something playful here, but they're both kind of going through different kinds of shit. And what's interesting is the divine feminine really wanting to throw off these chains of oppression, maybe within their life, and that's affecting this contract. Written in, absolutely necessary, like you can't get to level 5 till you go through level 4, honey. But with this divine masculine really being called inward at the same time, but the functions of which that are very, very different regardless. They are helping each other, whether they know each other or not, whether they are together or not, or in communication or not, they're helping each other heal. Well, there you have it. My Libra collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs, may you be blessed with all that you need to heal, in order to learn, in order to grow, and in order to become the best that you can be, and move forward in this happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, sexual, satisfying soulmate contract, November 2020, or timeless. And that as you do, as the two of you heal each other, known or unknown, you are brought together, and the love that is brought through you helps heal this world for the well-being of all. So mote it be. And so it is. Oh my God, thank you so very much for watching. And please do like, subscribe, all that stuff. Help me put my, help me reach my goals, right? My Libras, help me level up. Like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Comment, which one are you in this and how does it look? Because it's fun for me to read that stuff, right? And can't get more anonymous in terms of it, unless your literal name is the name you're commenting under. So anyway, wishing you all the very best and the very blessed. The preview's coming up next. We'll get that 13th card turned over. Otherwise, wishing you all the very best of this soulmate contract. May it manifest under grace and in perfect ways for your well-being. Hell, farewell and blessed, blessed be. Hey there, hi there, ho there, my Libra collective sun, moon, rising, Venus signs. You know what? You're as welcome as can be. Hi, guys. Thank you for staying for, because it's one of two things. You're either stayed for the preview or you've watched the preview and you've made the jump over to Vimeo.com for the extended. I took a brief pause, 30 seconds, looked at this card and go, oh, once again, I'm the divine masculine, and this one, usually I'm the divine feminine, and that goes to prove a point, right? At least to me personally, that different parts of even the same soul contract, it can activate more of our divine yin or our divine yang. So that's fascinating. Where the next card that actually hits the table, not the next card we're going to look at, is the angels, the angel in charge of this contract. But first, if you're watching the preview, what is the dominant archetype being alchemized in both of them, right? In the contract, what is this contract about? It's the artist archetype. Oh my God. You hear that? What do I have to deal with? Come here, Bells! That's definitely Bellsy. It's the Leo. The artist archetype, as he starts expressing himself. I have a stairwell, so I think he just likes to hear the echo. He's a Leo. The shadow attribute, using talent as an excuse to mistreat others, posing as the starving artist for pity. Now, in a soulmate contract, I don't know how that last part's going to go too well, but it does say that this is creative family of archetype, right? Like we said, we've got the action family, we've got the survival family. This is the creativity family, if you like, the kind of the major arcana. The artist would be the major arcana card of that particular suit of cards in terms of archetype. So that thing of misusing or mistreating people because of talent, right? Using talents as an excuse to mistreat people. That's tricky because it feels like maybe that some of that went on here. Maybe some of that went on here. The light attribute, expressing a dimension of life that is just beyond the five senses, inspiring others to see life symbolically. Now, again, this is where, you know, the artist, people want to put it in a career sense, like musician or painter or something like that. But the artist archetype can manifest in somebody, not just in their hobbies, but in their lives. Like my mom, nursery school teacher, I talk about her a lot because she's a big influence on my life, right? Well, she taught us how to make our own Play-Doh, right? Her house is her artwork. Her garden is her artwork. That's her creativity. I mean, her home, a Cancerian, right? So there is something highly creative between these two, as well as this also says that there needs to be some kind of expression, right? Expressing a dimension of life that is just beyond the five senses. So interesting that they both have to go internal to, I think, then be able to express it and in their own way as art in some way, shape, or form. Now remember, like, I'm an artist. This is part of my life. The lights, the cameras, the action, the makeup, but also I am a verbal artist. That's my speaker, writer, teacher, that kind of thing, right? The written word, very throat chakra. But that might not be the case for everybody, right? Everybody has their means of expression. But it also can say, from a real macro level, that this contract is being used by Source because we've got a rebel who's going to, like, if it doesn't feel right, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to compromise, right? I'm not going to compromise my integrity, right? I'm going to go for it if they're in their light. And this divine child was like, yeah, and let's just do that. Can really create something together that might help heal this world, right? That there might be a higher thing going on here. And I think that's part of this coyote. It's like, you think this is about getting your stuff touched. It's not. There is something, but we're going to let you think this is about getting your stuff touched, if you know what I'm talking about, because you have no idea the amount of creativity that the two of you are going to bring into this world, or what is going to go on in your lives in this soulmate contract. Fascinating. Fascinating, the artist archetype. So, moving along with that, we are going to ask The Healing with the Angels Oracle by Doreen Virtue. What is the angel in charge of this contract? Please, nice, deep breath.